See my screen? Okay, perfect. So we're gonna jump into why discipline without identity work never lasts. And the whole thing that we're doing here is to make sure that everything you do from a nutrition standpoint, losing the weight, building the muscle will last for a lifetime. And we realized, and I've been a coach now for damn near 10 years, I realized something that I was always struggling with was why did all my clients get great results? They lose the weight, they're doing marathons. And then I talk to them a year, 2 years later, they end up gaining the weight back or they fall back into their old habits, or we all typically tend to do that. Why does that happen to us? And I found out that it's because when you don't change and you don't work on the internal and identity piece, the reality, the outcome, and the results will never stick. Okay. So, in order for us to actually make results that stick, we have to also work on the identity problem. Okay. Now, how many times have we heard that I know what to do, I just can't stay consistent? This is like everybody's problem. This is my problem. Do you resonate with this, Vicky? The I know what to do, I just can't
Yeah,
stay consistent. Or have you heard of people say that to you?
this resonate like quite a bit with me. And I think that's why I started this program because everything I tried was a 6 week, 8 weeks, whatever, like hard push. And it takes a lot to do that. Yes, people can do that, right? But it never sustained. Or even when I'm doing, like, I'll be honest, even if I'm doing those type of sprint to program, I'm dedicated, but halfway through, I'm burned out and I'm like done. So it's not like sustainable. And so when looking for a program, I was trying to find something that emphasizes on the sustainability versus like that 6 months, whatever journey period to get to your end goal, but like how do you sustain it? And so this does resonate with me. I think starting the program, I was like unsure of how much you guys are going to push me right off the bat. And I think Jen's done a great job pushing me, but not pushing me over the edge. Building these habits made it so much easier during this rest. I'm still sleeping much better than I would have.
Crazy.
I'm sleeping so much better than I would have without this program, and that's so key. So I think, yeah, this resonate with me quite a bit.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to continue diving in is not only how do we get you the results, but how do we have it stay even without us in the long run? And a lot of people know what they need to do. They have the knowledge, but they just can't seem to stay consistent. And a lot of them think that they need more discipline. They're like, I need to push myself harder. It's just a discipline thing. It could be a part of that, but it's usually an identity problem. And at the end of the day, no amount of willpower, motivation will fix that root cause issue. And so we have to dive deeper in order to address that identity, and everything else will show up. Okay. So this is the two ways to differentiate being in the discipline mode, which a lot of us have driven up, gone to this point, and then why the identity mode is the new way for us to actually hone in on in order to maintain these results and keep things sustainable and feel like a lifestyle. Okay. So the discipline mode is you're motivated by feeling. You're like, oh, I need to change. I really want to get this done. But that discipline mode, it results into maybe starting over every Monday, or you need willpower to act, right? A lot of people collapse under stress because they're so disciplined, but discipline and motivation is a feeling. So when anxiety comes in, stress comes in, you're not standing on any foundation. It's going to be very easy to fall apart, right? Why most people fall off after 6 months, 12 months, and they keep staying in that cycle. Now, when you are in the identity mode, you're driven by who you are. Okay. That's the difference. Once you are driven by who you are as a person, then the consistency just becomes a non-negotiable. You start acting with a little bit more conviction. You just do the thing. Like I always say, just like brushing your teeth. No one's disciplined to brush their teeth. They're not motivated to brush their teeth. You don't need someone to tell you. You're like, I don't care. I'm going to brush my teeth because your identity is someone who brushes their teeth. That identity has been driven in you so hard that in your head, you're like, I'm going to brush my teeth probably till the last day I die or until I literally cannot physically brush my freaking teeth. And it's the same thing here. Right. And so the question is asking yourself, who do I want to be? because once you lock that in of who you are, it's going to allow you to show up even when those weeks are hard. So the whole game here is, how do we put ourselves in a position to still operate with our standards even when we have those hard weeks? Not when the circumstances are easy, because that's easy. Like when your schedule's perfect, things are aligned, that's easy. But what about on the tough weeks, the tough days that we're going through? Okay. It's going to come down to the identity mode. So this is the identity equation here. Belief plus decision equals identity. Okay. So this is like the belief here is, I am someone who takes care of their body. Okay. And I also make choices that reflect that belief. So the first key is I am, right? That's the key. I am someone who takes care of their body. I am someone who prioritizes their health, right? And then I make choices daily to reflect someone who takes care of their body. And then the identity is the results become permanently who you are, right? So the thing is, we never actually talk about I am portion. We just go, what do I need to do to lose the weight? We go, what is the action? But we never say, who do I need to become? Who does Vicky need to become through the last half of the year in order to get the life and all the things she really wants? And that's going to constantly change every single year, because for a lot of us, we haven't actually had this conversation, or we're still operating off the identity that was placed on us when we were maybe in high school or when we were kids. And so I want to give an example. It's like, there's this guy, he's 200 pounds, and he was a friend of mine. He would be able to lose 50 to 60 pounds when he got super motivated. He was like very knowledgeable, very smart. He understand macros, nutrition. He would lose the weight, but he would always gain it back. It was because we never changed his identity. His identity was operating off of when he was very young, and he was a very chubby kid. And so he was the fat kid. So growing up, he got bullied in elementary, even by his teachers. He was bullied as the fat kid. And so if your identity is, I'm the fat kid, and you lose the weight, what happened is that you yourself will fight hard to make sure your reality matches your identity. So the fact that he lost the weight, but his identity is still the fat kid, he actually self-sabotaged himself to go back to the original identity. And he started eating a little bit more, and he didn't even catch himself. So until we change his identity of, I'm someone who's fit, or even something like I am an athlete, operating as an athlete, he started making decisions and the results became permanent.
That one's
The
hard though. Like, how do you get that identity to stick, right? You
Mhm.
could come up with something like, for example, you just mentioned, I am
Yeah,
an athlete, right?
yeah,
But how do you get that to stick? Like,
yeah.
how do you get yourself to actually believe it and put the work to actually execute on that?
So the first step is to have that I am statement and to drill it into your head every single day. And for me, I actually write down that identity statement on my journal in the morning. And so I'll write is, I am a $5 million CEO. That's what I've been writing. That's my new identity. And it's weird because I don't feel like that. It's a little scary, but it's because I'm trying to operate off of that new identity. So when I think about, okay, I am the $5 million CEO, how am I waking up today? What habits am I doing? How am I showing up on a call and pouring into Vicky here as that person? Right? How am I treating my relationships, and like, how am I treating my time? So I start just thinking about that, and I'm someone to operate a little bit more closer to that identity. Okay. So let's just try with you, come up with an I am statement here. What is that I am statement? And you can say whatever it is, but what do you feel like resonates? And we can go from there.
Oh, I feel like this is hard because I feel like there's so many rules that I play. So just to put it
Okay.
in a good statement, I struggle because I think there's some things that I do know about myself. I'm pretty independent. I don't need anybody. or
Okay.
anything. I could be self-sufficient. But the things that I want is to show up for like my daughter, my
Okay.
family in a meaningful way. And for, I guess, as a first generation, I'm sure a lot of folks feel the same. I want to bring stability to my family.
Okay.
And that kind of sandwich generation where I want to also be fulfilled in what I do. So it's almost like not just getting the job done, just picking a job that pays the bill, but be able to do something that's meaningful. And there has to be substance, right? Like that I resonate with, right? I'm happy with my job just because it pays the bill. But do I really want to expand on it? Honestly, no. I'm good with what I do. I'm fine with that. The areas of growth, it's outside of my career, right? It's beyond the career, just put that stability.
Okay.
But I think where I want to do is make it better for my daughter, where she doesn't feel like stability is what she needs. She has the stability and she can go for something that makes her content, right? And not have to feel like she has to compromise. And to do that, I feel like I need to set a great foundation and example for her, right? Show her I could do some of those things. Like when I told my daughter, I'm like, hey, cause like she asked me, like, what do you like? And who do you love? And I'm like, I always pick her. And then I catch myself. I'm like, actually, I should love myself first before I love
Mm.
you, because that way I can truly love you. So I'm starting to say those things. It's harder
There we
to
go.
believe, but then she catch on to it because then she'll say something like, hey, what do you want to eat? And I was like, what do you want? She said, no, you should pick what you want first and then tell
Mm.
me. So I think this is like little things that
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on with her so that she doesn't have to guess it. She doesn't have to compromise. This is what I want. It's fine. If
Right.
people don't agree, that's totally fine. But this is what I really want and I'm going to do it.
Got it. So, with that being said, what is your I am statement? And you fill in the blank for me. I am someone who,
I mean, maybe break the barrier for what my daughter feels like she can achieve. Like, I'm just ground zero. She's going to go beyond. I think that's what's going to motivate me. And then that's the whole point of doing the fitness strategy because I want to keep up with her.
there we go. So, I would do something like this. I am someone who lead by example by breaking the barriers with my health, my personal goals, and my ambitions. Because that is how you are showing Emmy why she can take it up. Like, you don't realize she's seeing that change right now. Everything that you do is leading by example. So, how does that identity level does that resonate with you?
Yes. I think that actually you put it very well. Writing it down, like in my
Write it
scribble.
down.
So
Let's write it
yes.
down. And I want you to look at that, leave it, write it somewhere on a sticky note, and I want you to put it right where your monitor or wherever is. I want you to write it and look at it every morning. I guarantee you do that for the next 30 days, you're going to transform. Insane. Like, you'll get there so much faster by just doing that. Okay. So, as far as the 3 levels here, as we're talking about, we dove right into the identity level, right? The outcome level is very superficial. I wanna lose 20 pounds, right? I wanna hit that number on the scale. This one is the weakest one. It's still a good motivator, but it dies when motivation fades because at the end of the day, like you said, you're like, honestly, I used to wanna look good when I was, like, maybe 20, 30, but now it's not that big of a motivator. It's not gonna be the biggest motivator, right? Because 'Cause we're all gonna get a little old anyways, and it's, who cares about the number on scale? So that is gonna die, right? The process level here is a little better, right? I wanna be consistent. I wanna eat well. I wanna track my macros. I wanna work out. That's good, but this also breaks down when life gets a little hard or things pop up or you just get bored. If I'm really like, I'm not that motivated. But the identity level of I am someone who leads my family by example, by taking care of myself and holding myself to the highest standards and achieving all my ambitions without holding myself back, period. That identity, though, that is what a transformation becomes permanent. because you are operating off of that standpoint now, that foundation. Cool. So we did this together with you, right? The four step. Number one is decide who you are now. Did you write it down? We want to,
I am someone that leads by example and by breaking barriers with my health and my ambition to set goals, to set a new standard for my daughter. So,
I love that.
sorry. I know it's really scrappy because I'm walking, but yes.
Let's read it one more time with a little bit more conviction.
Okay, sorry. I am someone that leads by example by breaking barriers and prioritizing my health to set example for my daughter. Sorry, my chicken scrap is pretty bad.
I love that. I felt that from you and maybe need to rewrite it after this. That's okay. But I want you to read that every morning for the next 30 days. Okay. That's going to be that first key step. Step number two is we call it a vote because every action do or don't do is a vote for or against that identity. And that is going to be the small wins that compound. But you see how the nuance there was every action you do or don't do is for or against that identity. A lot of people think when they don't take action that they're baseline. Not doing an action is actually a vote to go into the negative direction. You either go up or you go down. There is no in between. And so now with your new identity statement, you can start funneling every little action, every little thought you have based on that identity, that core single identity. Okay. Step number three is that audit. Your environment votes too. This is super key. And I love that you have a supportive partner who's making sure that you're getting every opportunity to work out. That it means you have a great environment. So remove what votes against you. And that is not just people, but it's things. It could be like having snacks or whatever it is that you have around you. Let go, like kind of discard of that and build what actually votes for your identity. Having the dumbbells out, having the workout clothes out, that is you auditing and setting up your environment to build what votes for your new identity here. And then number four is protecting. When life gets hard, that's when the identity is built. So keep in mind on those weeks where you're busy with back to backs, when you're just stressed out, you don't have that motivation, that is when your real identity is built. You're like, okay, how does this actually stick? Like, how do you actually embody that? You just asked me that question. That is that right here. It's not built when things are easy. It's when those hardest days, when you feel like, oh, I can easily just put it to the next day, but you do it anyways. That's when the identity, the self esteem, the confidence is built. That's when you're actually becoming the leader and the version of you who you are modeling for Emmy. That right there, it's that action. And the more we can do that, it's going to compound. And that's when you're going to just be transformed. Cool. Any thoughts on that?
I'm actually so glad I called in. I'm sorry for being late. I was just
No,
trying
that's
to
okay.
get my daughter settled in, but this is super helpful because I feel like I have a really good start to that I am statement that I could resonate with. Like, and I think that's really hard to do to come up with something that you believe. Like, it's easy to write whatever it is on paper, but to kind of put it into words that does make sense and sums up everything that I've been trying to do. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from this session was getting that statement down. Obviously, I need to refine it. So I start typing it instead of writing
Yeah.
it. So it's a little clear. But I think that's also key. And I think it's probably helpful to kind of share with folks the 3-level foundation, right? Because we all start, or at least I assume, we all
Mhm.
start and join the program out of the outcome, right? Let's lose that
Yes.
20 whatever
Absolutely.
pounds. I'm right at the praxis level where I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, I know what I got to do. I'm just going to do it. And let's hope that I could do it forever, which what you're telling me is no, as a start that you, if that's all you just settle on, you're not going to be able to do it forever. I actually need to go to step 3, which is not something that I truly thought about or embraced, right? Because I was like, hey, the outcome. I know what I'm doing. Process. I'm starting to get there. I'm quote unquote satisfied with the outcome that we can get out of this process. But this, the third, which is the whole point of sustainability, is that,
100%.
and yeah, I think that's super helpful because I
Yeah.
can see where I'm at in this journey. Nowhere near the third, but just making that statement is starting the third as I'm working through the process.
Super powerful. I'm glad you took that away. And exactly, like, we build your identity statement here because the old story, and this is for a lot of people, is their old story that they've been operating is, I'm someone who's trying to get in shape. When your identity is, I'm just trying to get in shape, you will always be trying to get in shape because most people get stuck in, I've been trying to get in shape. You see what I'm saying? But if you change your identity, I'm someone who never misses. It's just an example. I'm someone who never misses, who reflects my standards. And if you're someone with high standards, you will by default operate with someone who probably doesn't miss her workouts, who probably is investing in their health, is probably showing up on a coaching call on a Sunday to learn and get better and be an example for her daughter. That is someone who's operating off of this new identity. So we wrote yours. We said it out loud twice. We're going to repeat that until you believe it. Honestly, I'm going to give you a homework, Vicky. I think you should go tell Emmy this statement after, and you should have her do it. I think that'd be a great exercise to do. Now, both of you guys have an I am statement, and you guys are going to be operating off of that. Maybe ask the whole family. That'd be so cool to have to do that today. Don't you think? To do an I am statement?
Could definitely work with it with Emmy. She's fine. So we'll see what she comes up with.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah. And then I have to see my husband. He's
Yes.
definitely, he already knows what he wants and what he likes.
Yeah.
That's his motivation, his passion. He already figured it out, which is,
Wow.
I always feel envious because
Mhm.
he knows what he likes and he
Yeah.
doesn't have a problem saying, no, that's not something I'm interested in. And it's not personal. It's just, that's just not something he's interested. I have a long way to get there because I've always been a people pleaser. And so it's just getting to the point of what is it that's solely my priority interest with less influence of others.
There we
So
go. I think it's also starting with that identity can be maybe your old identity was, I am a people pleaser. And your new identity statement as a part of it is, I'm someone who pours into myself first.
yes. And then that was the state, that was the goal I had for 2026 was
Yeah.
to be selfish this year and just think for myself. But because I'm never selfish. So this is
Yeah.
just trying to think more selfishly means I'm prioritizing myself. So that was this year's statement. But I think what we wrote is beyond this year.
Beyond that.
That's
Yeah.
taking into
This
like
is, this is going to
multiple.
be that core. This is going to be the thing that's going to take you beyond just the fitness with your just the way you operate, honestly. Like, this is going to be super powerful. So I'm glad we did that. So let's recap here the takeaways. We learned that discipline without identity is just willpower. And those are the two layers that we talked about, layer one, layer two, and that will eventually run out. And the second one is you don't rise to the level of your goals because a lot of people set goals, but they don't hit the goals. It's not that we rise to the level of our goals, we actually fall to our identity. So wherever our identity is at and we set the goals, we're always going to fall to the identity. So setting the high identity point is going to allow you to actually hit your goals. Every action that you do is a vote for who you are or who you are refusing to become. Okay. So that's really important to note as well. And then the last one is we don't need to wait to feel motivated. We can decide today exactly who you are, who you're becoming, and start operating, which we did exactly that today for you. Okay. So
Thank you.